Okay, I want to try a little bit of an experiment here. I just recorded a video a little bit ago using Mixamo and uploading the texture map from Mixamo to Google Gemini to auto create a retexture. And it does okay. It's not perfect. But I think a lot of people aren't even aware that these image generation tools are kind of getting to be at the level they are. So this file is actually the file from the video that I have online, where we retextured this guy into Morpheus from the Matrix. Went ahead this morning and made a little model for some hair for this guy that kind of is gonna just sit on top of his head here. Nothing too crazy. What's nice about Playmobil in this style is that nothing has to be overly complicated, right? It's toy-like and kind of simplistic, etc. And so this was just a cylinder that I made, or I'm sorry, a sphere I made this morning, and then cut a couple edges in it and created a little bit of a little curve down for hair for this model, just to show you again, something as simple as a little attachment can make a big difference. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this texture that you see here, and we're going to try uploading this one into Google Gemini and kind of see how it does, and how it works. So thanks for joining me on this kind of experiment. Okay, so here I am inside Google Gemini, and then this is my texture file that we have in that folder. So again, this was the max file, and if I click on it, you can actually see the retexture from the video of the Morpheus skin and how it turned out in that video and kind of where I left off. Again, if you want, you can watch that video. I go through doing this all in Photoshop and basically creating the texture in there. But that video has been a minute. And so I'm going to showcase some of the capabilities of Google Gemini and Nano Banana again, and see where they are right now, because some time has passed and these tools are getting really good at a lot of stuff, and it's worth knowing what they're capable of doing and kind of where we are and where the pitfalls kind of fall. So let's just start with this. I'm just going to start with my face. This one's probably going to be the least exciting. I'm going to go to Create Image. For this, I'm going to go to Pro. If you have access to Pro, I really suggest it over Fast. If you don't, you're welcome to use Fast. Fast works okay. I found that generally it doesn't handle this as well. So I'm going to be utilizing Pro here for it. You can also do this exact same process in ChatGPT and its image creation tools, whether you have a Pro, whether you're paying for that or have a free account. Again, I have a free account right now for ChatGPT, and it works well in it as well. So I'm basically going to upload this image and say, this is a diffuse map for a Playmobil character head model. Can you retexture it for a Playmobil version of Captain Kirk? Now, of course, if you don't like Star Trek, you don't have to do Captain Kirk, but that's what I thought I'd play with today. And I'm going to hit the button. So now it just takes a couple of seconds, up to a couple of minutes for this to work. Again, I'm going to do the head and then the torso and then the legs. Now, if you watched the other video where I did Mixamo, you probably have already heard me say this. If you haven't seen that video, that's okay too. I'm going to say the same thing here, and that is, this works okay. We are not at the point where it's flawless, and what I found in these experiments of uploading diffuse maps and having it tweak it, small edits work better than large edits, and it works the best if your texture image ideally has the top at the top and the bottom at the bottom. If you have a flipped section in your VW map or your texture, it has issues. So, that's one thing to keep in mind. Okay, that's funny. It didn't even add in the hair. It just made it smarmy. Okay, maybe can you add in his hair? Okay. Let's see how that goes, because I feel like that's hilarious. and really feels like it totally did not need an AI tool for that. I'm going to slightly make it, I don't know, malicious looking, right? That's hilarious. Okay. Technology, everybody. Hooray. Let's try this, something a little bit more, I don't know, hopefully dynamic. Okay. Again, I felt the irony of saying that it doesn't quite do a perfect job right out the gate. There you go, an example. We're going to go ahead and do the torso and the legs, and you'll see what I mean by that too. What I really want to showcase in this video is, first of all, that it can do this, and second, that it still needs work. That it's not going to be replacing a total thing. Okay, how hilarious of a response. So this apparently is a video showcasing the failure of Gemini, which is funny. Let's go ahead and try the torso and see how that goes. Okay, apparently no public figures, which is just ridiculous. This is the diffuse map of a 3D model of a Playmobil character. Can you, we'll say character torso. Can you retexture it to be the uniform of Captain Kirk? And I'm not going to say Star Trek in this, just because you saw like a minute ago, it didn't like doing his hair. I don't even know what's up with that. Again, I have another practice one where it made his hair just fine, so I'm not sure. So I'm going to say Captain Kirk. We're not going to use any of the names of the IP. Question mark. The front is the upper right section. I'm going to give it a little bit more guidance. So when I last attempted this, it didn't really know what it was looking at. I think because this texture is so flat, it's just a flat color, that I'm going to give it a little more information and try to make this hopefully work a little bit better. So I'm going to say the front is the upper right section, and below that is the back of the character. The neck line from above is the upper left side, and below that is the sides of the character. Okay, so we'll try to give it a little more guidance and hope it works a little bit better. Again, I'm going to do Pro, although I'm not impressed with the last one. So let's see what we got here, and let's see what it does. So again, as I was saying, this video, I kind of really wanted to just showcase what this tool is capable of doing, and what it's not. And like, again, it made a slightly different looking face, which I guess is helpful in some ways since I modeled the hair. But let's see if we get anything better from the torso here. I've been experimenting with uploading diffuse maps of 3D models to these generative tools, and only, I would say, since the beginning of the year have these image generation tools, again, Nano Banana 2, which when it came out, is able to do this somewhat. And so here you can see, this is a little bit weird. Star Trek doesn't generally have this kind of thing. Obviously, there's the watermark here, but let's go ahead and download this and take a look at this on our character and see how it looks. So overall, I mean, that neckline looks pretty good. Again, I don't know if it has quite the V neck that you would normally expect, and this front part's a little strange, but you know, the one thing I wanted to kind of showcase about this is that it can do it. Like, you know, again, whether or not it's working the way we hoped, maybe not. But could it save me a little bit of time on my texturing work? You know, let's see. All right. So again, you can see here, I would still need to take this into probably Mudbox or Photoshop. The neckline's okay, kind of raises up a bit funny in the back. In fact, in some ways, maybe the back looks even better than the front. There's my Gemini watermark. But you can see it's not bad. Again, it looks like it's got this bit of a texture on it. You know, it's handled some of the assignment. This model doesn't have the greatest UVW map in the world, and here you can really see that showcased right here, where the collar does dip into the other section of the map, and again, it has this weird, almost a baseball-like uniform thing down the front. But if you haven't played with these generative tools editing diffuse maps, you might not have seen any of this stuff in practice. So let's keep that in mind. Okay, let's go ahead and do our final experiment. Let's go ahead and see how it handles the legs, because we still have those to go. And we'll do the legs. Okay, let's do Captain Kirk's legs. Now, I have found when it comes to using these kind of tools, prompting is really what matters. So the white area is the legs and shoes, and the blue section are the arms and hands. Let's also add in the arm and hand textures. The gray area is the hair. So I am not using the file I downloaded was the Morpheus one, which doesn't have the original clip-on hair. Again, I removed it from Morpheus because he's bald. But the other file that I've uploaded previously does still have the hair. So let's go ahead and just tell it all of it and see what we get. You know, maybe it'll do all those zones. So we'll see. Okay, so let's see how Gemini is going to handle the body. I'm guessing it's the hands. I think this is that other part of the hips, if I remember correctly. So, okay, so here we go. How weird. There must be a lot of people using it. So this is a weird error I get sometimes. I feel like, you know, that's what I get for doing this as you know, live. Let's try this again. Maybe I will try the fast model. I don't know, because I'm kind of disappointed in Pro. I don't know what's going on with it today. Okay. A diffuse texture reskin of legs, the white area, blah, 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 blah. Again, we're going to do create image. I'm going to keep it on fast. Why not? Because Pro seems to be really disappointing me anyway in this. So let's give it a go. Maybe there are too many people using Pro or something. I don't know. Not super impressive so far. So, you know, I've had this, I think this texture, because it's so simple and doesn't have a lot of details, I'm having a little more trouble with than other diffuse maps I've done up until now. I would say if you have an experiment with this, it's worth trying, only because it's very interesting to see how it's handling viewing a flattened UVW map of a 3D model. I have found that the smaller edits you make, the easier it has. The one thing I found from other experiments, unfortunately not so much in this video, that it did really well is if you change out material types. So if you have part of your material and you want to change it from cloth to leather or to metal or, you know, gold or whatever kind of physical properties, changing those tends to work pretty good. So let's see. Hopefully, again, I've been using Pro, so we'll see how fast handles this. Looks like maybe it's almost done here. Oh, the irony. A pop-up just came up that says, how satisfied are you with this conversation so far? I am not satisfied. not appealing. The images were either not made or not made well. Yikes. Submit. Okay. You can see here this did not do well. Again, we're using the fast image generator. Let's go ahead and maybe try the exact experiment with the Pro, just because we're 15 minutes in and this thing is not looking great. Okay, so we're just going to do it one more time. We're going to do it with Pro. And let's see how it does. So you can see no complaints about public figures or weird descriptions saying I can't make an image. So again, I'm guessing maybe there's a lot of people using Gemini right now. I don't know. I guess in my prompt I will add, I didn't do a very good job describing where the shoes are, where that the hands are separate down below, and that the upper left hand corner are the arms without the hands, which is a bit on me. You know, again, I feel like these tools, you know, if you don't describe what you want properly, you know, they don't do very well. So I'll take some blame, but it's a pretty disappointing video. I don't know, evaluating texture details, interesting. Okay, I think we're done. Okay, again, has no idea what the heck it's doing here. The hair is not great. It did get the shoes correct here, and the pants look pretty good here. These don't make a lick of sense. Let's go ahead and add it to the model just to see this horrific monstrosity come to life. This is where I was saying, again, this is about what I expected, though, of it kind of just having no idea what the heck to do, where it does its best guess. So again, it's kind of trying to make it, at least it looks like an arm. This I probably could work with within Photoshop, though, right? You know, I could grab the braids and try to make them all along and then try to keep the gold. This pants up here, not bad. These shoes actually turned out pretty good. The side ones here don't make any sense and aren't going to look good at all, but let's see what this looks like here. I'm excited to give it a go. So again, we'll grab our legs here and we'll grab our nightmare-like leg texture. Drop that right up into back here. Okay, so you can see, you know, honestly, having the boots as part of the legs, I don't hate, because there would be the tops of the boots, although having the heel right here is very strange. So again, somewhat, you might be able to use some of this in Photoshop. It gave us a pretty decent backside. So, and the shoe texture actually shockingly turned out pretty well. So that's not terrible. This part is pretty usable as is. Again, obviously the arms with whatever kind of insane nonsense is happening there. Definitely looks like the UVW map on these arms is pretty terrible. So if I were going to be using this as is, it looks like I got to do some work on the UV map and maybe redo the UV map on the arms, because there's a lot of strange bits happening there. So not crazy helpful there. Again, pants, okay. All right. But as you can see from this video, the real thing I wanted to show you is that, you know, we're getting close, right? I will say these tools can handle diffuse map changes better than they ever had before. This is probably one of the worst examples I've done since December of last year, which is worth noting. You know, again, is this going to be replacing, you know, Photoshop, you know, today? Clearly no, but it's getting better, and you know, for a place to begin from, it's really not horrible. Again, the shoe texture I'm rather impressed with. The hands are very odd, and clearly pointing out some definite UVW mapping issues, both with the body and the hands and different things. But that's kind of human error. This is not a, you know, AI mapped character either. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Maybe you'll find it useful. At least I again, my biggest thing when it comes to all of these AI generative tools is I really want to make sure that everybody is just aware of what they can do and cannot do. And look right here. Here's this leather stitching that I put inside the shoes, I guess, are actually these hip bits, which are interesting. But again, that's on me. I put the mapping there, I want to say. Anyway, hopefully, again, you enjoyed the video. You know, take a look, experiment yourself. It's important, even if you are not a fan and don't want to utilize the tools, that we are aware of what they're capable of and what they can do and how quickly these tools are gaining capabilities and are likely going to change our development workflow, whether we like it or not.